this module we're going to look at formatting in Excel. To format means to change the way something appears. Most of the formatting commands are available on the home ribbon, and in particularly you have the font group where you have your bold and underlining. You'll notice of course that some of these have little arrows which indicate there are more options available. If I click on the little arrow beside the fill color, I have more and different colors, and as you scroll or hover over them you can see it'll show the change that would occur if you were to use that particular color. In the alignment grouping you have various horizontal and vertical alignment where you can align your text or values, and here you have your number formatting, and it also includes down here a little very handy drop down box which gives you quick access to the most commonly types of formats, where it's number formatting or currency, counting, date formats, times, percentages, etc. So it's quick access to the most commonly used formats in Excel. You will also notice these little icons here, little indentation icons. If you click on any one of them, it brings up the same thing. It brings up the format dialog box, the format cells dialog box. Now each of these bring up the same dialog box but bring it up on a different tab. For example, if I had opened it up on the number icon here, it would open up the same dialog box but on the number tab. Basically this contains all the formatting commands. Here, if you like, are the most commonly used ones. For example, retailers might, let's say the old price was 99, they might want to put a little strike through line to indicate to people that was the old price. Now we have that option available. It's not probably popular enough to have it available on so it is a useful formatting to have, but to actually access that you've got to go to the format cells dialog box, and if we go to font and we have the strike through effect, and if you click on that, click on OK, then it creates that little strike through effect, the old price of 99. A lot of the commands, the minor commands, you will find by accessing the format cells dialog box. Now the basic concept behind formatting is the same in most Microsoft products. You highlight the cells that you want to change and then you apply your formatting. You might make them bold, we might change the font color of text. We might, this little feature came in from PowerPoint. If you click on the big A, it makes your text bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The small a makes it smaller, smaller, smaller. Basically all it's doing is it's changing the font size here. You can of course also, you want to change the actual font that you're using, you choose a different one here. If I type in a piece of text here, we mentioned in the previous module, when you type something into Excel, Excel makes a decision on whether it believes it is text or a numeric value, because Excel will always put text to the left and it will always put numeric values to the right. If you type what you think to be a numeric value and it goes to the left, then you have a problem, because Excel is saying to you that it thinks that this is a piece of text. I can click on cell E1 and I can horizontally align this. It automatically goes to the left. I can horizontally go to the center or horizontally to the right. It's much easier now to vertically align things. I could put that vertically to the top of the cell or to the middle of the cell or vertically to the bottom of the cell. Here I'm going to go horizontally to the center and vertically to the center, so it's in the dead center. So it's much easier now in Excel to position your values, text strings inside a particular cell. The other two interesting options that you have in the alignment here is the merge and center and wrap text. Now merge and center is very handy if you want to create a little kind of a title for your information. Basically if I highlight 3 cells, I can merge them into one cell, and if I type in something it will center that text in there. So it's 3 cells became one cell and it's centered in there. Again, I've got arrows down there, so I've got various other options that I can use in terms of merging the cells. If I want to unmerge those cells, I can unmerge them and delete. One of the more common formatting techniques in Excel is the border, ability to create borders in Excel. We can, to do that, simply highlight where we want to place the border. Hit the little downward arrow, and then we have a huge choice and variety of borders that we can create. I'm going to, for example, choose maybe a thick box border, and that's all it does. It puts a border on the outside. Maybe I'd like to have a background color in there, maybe say yellow. So you highlight, then operate. If I could maybe put a border around my numbers here, highlight the cells that I want to change, hit the downward arrow here, and maybe we choose an all border, and we have a border inside and outside border there. If I want a heading border here, I could do the same again, highlights, all border, and maybe a background color. This is a background color. Don't forget, this one here will change the type font color. But probably the most important type of formatting in Excel is when you format numbers. Now at this moment in time, I'm not too sure here what these numbers represent. Is it 500 kilos? Is it 500 units of money? I'm not too sure. It's not clear. I want to format these numbers so that I know what they represent. So I'm going to highlight them. As always, there's a few ways to do this. I could, for example, right click. Now if I right click on a selection, I get a context menu. This is basically Excel telling me what I can do at this moment in time to that selected object. I could cut, I could copy it, I could delete it, I could sort, I could format it. Sometimes in Excel you can't find something, right click. For example, if I right click on a sheet tab, I get a completely different context menu. It tells me what I can do at this moment in time to a sheet tab when we look at that later on in the relevant module. The other option I have is I can go down here and I can click on currency. The currency it applies will be based on the regional settings on your laptop or PC. So whatever your regional settings are will determine which currency. So I'm going to click here, and by default here we have the euro to 2 decimal places. Now I can, if I want to, decrease that decimal places, 1, 2, and I've decreased it now to no decimal places, or I could increase, decrease decimal places. But let's say, for example, I want to format this to the US dollar, maybe to 1 decimal place. What I could do here, I could right click and format, or I could go here, more, number of formats, and that will bring me on to the currency option here. How many decimal places do I want? Well, I said 1 decimal place, and then if I click down here, I get the list of world currencies, and I can just scroll down looking for the one that I want, which is the US, the dollar, and the US. Now the last one here is Excel saying, look, if one of these numbers should in the future become negative, do you want me to treat it differently? Well, we could say, yeah, you can make it a kind of a red color. So if any of these numbers become negative, Excel will automatically make them red. So I hit OK, and now anybody looking in on that worksheet knows we're dealing with these numbers. There's currency, and it's the US dollar that we're dealing with. To finish off this module, there are 2 very, very important points regarding formatting which we're going to look at. Now if I go up here for type in say 100, and if I apply a currency format on that, and maybe I go here and type in 10 and I apply a percentage format here, and maybe here I'm going to type in date. Now if I type in a recognized date format, it will recognize that as a date. Let's say I no longer need these values, so I'm just going to highlight them and I'm going to delete. That looks as though now that's done the job, that I've deleted. Those cells are now empty. Let's just say I want to type in the value as 50. So I type in 50, but it's coming up as 50 euros. I don't want it. All I want is 50. Let me try it here. All I want is 50. Now it's coming up as 50%. Here, if I type in, it's coming up as some date in the 1900s. I don't want that. All I want is 50. So I go here, I might hit delete, 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 and I can delete forever. It's still not going to take away those formats. In Excel, if you look at a cell, we can type in a numeric value, or we can type in a piece of text. Think upon formatting as a layer above that. It's a layer that might contain a currency formatting, it might contain a percentage formatting, it might make the different color, but it's a layer above the content. Likewise, I can format this with a bold, underline it, make it bigger. But those formats are, if you like, a layer above the content. The delete key does not have the ability to delete that layer of formatting. It does not have that ability. If I want to delete the formatting and the content, I've got to go over to the home ribbon, over to the clear icon here and this very important button here called clear all. This has the ability to delete the content and the formatting. If I highlight these cells here and I want to clear completely, I go clear all. Now it's totally, if I type in 50, it's 50 by itself. If I type in 50, it's 50 by itself. If I type in 50, the date, it's gone. This button here is the button that has the power to delete the content and the formatting. Sometimes, for example, you might only want to take away the formatting and leave the actual content. Well, then you have the option over here of clear formats. Just take away the formatting. Formatting is now gone. Content is still there, formatting is gone. This button here, clear content, this button does exactly the same as the delete key. It simply deletes the content and that's all. If you want to make sure you're deleting the formatting and the content, you've got to use the clear all button here. If I type in say 50% here, if I just go and hit delete, that's not empty. That looks like an empty cell. It's not. The only clue that I have is if I look here, it's telling me there's a percentage format here. A really totally empty cell would have the general format, which is no specific format. The second important point is, let me just highlight these and just delete that. And let's type in say 3.3333. So I have changed the formatting on these cells. Now you would think that if Excel is adding this cell and this cell, it's going to add 3.3 here, and this one's going to be 3.333, and it's going to be no. An important point in formatting is that Excel itself totally ignores formatting. If you want to know what Excel is looking at, click in the cell, look in the formula bar. That's what Excel sees in this cell. As far as it's concerned, in cell H4, it contains 3.333. We have placed a format on that, but that's only for us and other people looking in on the spreadsheet. It's others looking in, not for Excel. That's what it sees. In cells of H5, it sees the same 3.33. This one here is 3.33. It's not rounding it up. There are functions, and in a later module we look at those functions, the round functions, which helps us to round things up in Excel. One final point in this module on formatting, if I say type in say Excel here, and if I apply lots of different formats to this, maybe make it bold, maybe make it a different size, maybe a different color, maybe change the type of the font type, maybe make it align it to the center, vertically align it to the center and horizontally to the center. I've applied 4 or 5 different formats to this particular one. Now let's say I want to copy the exact same formats to something else. Let me type something over here, say I want to apply the exact same formats to Monday as I applied to Excel. Now really I don't want to be going over having to hit that again. I don't have to. I can use a very useful thing called the format painter. And what it does, it allows you to copy a collection of formats or a style. And to use it, if I click on the cell with the formats, now if I just click it once, you notice that the cursor has changed shape to a kind of a paint. Now if I click on that cell, it applies all the formats to the new cell. Now it's turned itself off. If I wanted to copy these collection of formats to more than one cell, I would double click on this and that would allow me to apply the formats to more than one cell. And then when I'm finished, I can just switch it off. So it's a very handy tool if you want to copy a collection of formats to other cells.